So let's talk about Sibo. What is Sibo? Well, Sibo is an acronym for small intestinal bacteria overgrowth. What happens is the good bacteria in your large intestine will overgrow into your small intestine. And then what happens is you'll eat food and it breaks it down way too early, which causes all kinds of uncomfortable is putting it very mildly, symptoms because it's painful gas, diarrhea, constipation. It'll even lead to malabsorption because that bacteria is then eating your nutrients and you're competing with the bacteria for your nutrients. There's three kinds of SIBO. One is hydrogen, and this one usually presents itself as diarrhea. Methane, which is primarily constipation, and then hydrogen sulfide. And hydrogen sulfide, you would know if you have that one because that one will give you the really rotten gas smell, like rotten egg gas after you eat high sulfur food. So if you're like eating eggs and broccoli and you're just getting that nasty gas, you probably have hydrogen sulfide SIBO. You can have a combination as well. So you can go from constipation to diarrhea and back again. And it's interesting because the statistics are that 80% of the people who have IBS have actually SIBO, which makes me think that, when they say IBS mixed, you probably got both forms of the SIBO gas bacteria. So how do we treat it? Well, if you went to a medical doctor, they're going to put you on antibiotics. SIBO is really tricky. And oftentimes people go rounds and rounds and rounds, and they'll take a round and then they'll be good for a little while and then they have to go back and take more. And the reason that they have to go back and take more is because they haven't addressed what's causing the overgrowth. You need to address it or it's just going to keep happening. And it's never good to go on multiple rounds of antibiotics. Let's talk about what causes SIBO. So antibiotics, which is interesting because that's how they treat it too. Antibiotics, damage to your migrating motor complex. Your migrating motor complex is the thing that sweeps your gut of all the things that aren't supposed to be there, like the bacteria. And that will only fire after you've been done eating for like 90 minutes. So if you're a snacker and you're snacking all the time, that is not firing at all during the day. And then it can only fire at night when you're sleeping. And so you can damage that. So the rule of thumb is that, especially if you have SIBO, do not snack. Do not eat between meals. Have a nice breakfast, whole foods if you can, and then have a nice lunch and a nice dinner. And do not snack between. Let that fire and sweep through and help you with that. We're trained to think that, oh gosh, I haven't eaten since whatever, I need to eat because it's time to eat. Your body will tell you when it's time to eat. Do not eat unless your stomach is actually growling. That will really help your gut. Other things that can cause it is food poisoning. That was my case. I was on a really strong antibiotic and I had 2 rounds of food poisoning and that just did me in. And so I got a great case of bacterial overgrowth. So also parasites and protozoa. In my program, how we treat SIBO or heal from SIBO is we let the body heal, right? So we go through the program and we run the labs to see what your body needs. We make sure we're really well supported before we move into the gut work. Because if you do that too soon, you can cause more harm with your detox pathways not functioning. So if you're going to kill something off, you're going to create a lot more harm if your body can't handle detoxifying it. A lot of people will say it's a detox reaction. Well, it means that your body's not able to handle it. So it's not a good thing. Like a lot of times they tout, oh, that means it's working. No, it means your body cannot handle it. So we pull back if that happens and we make sure that, you don't want to do more harm than good ever. So we do that and then we address the SIBO. After everything's in place, the body's well supported. Oftentimes by then you feel a lot better too, even though you haven't gotten to gut work yet, you feel better because your body's functioning better. Another thing that can help is doing a low FODMAP diet while you're suffering through your SIBO. Low FODMAP, that's another acronym for certain sugars that are difficult for your body to digest, especially if you have SIBO. So if you have SIBO, you know what that is. You know what those foods are, but if you want to Google it, you sure can. It's just FODMAP. That will tell you the foods that are the most offensive, like garlic and onions. And for me, watermelon, I can't eat a lot of watermelon. It makes me so sad because I love it. But we just are careful with that until you get it killed off, and then you should be able to go back to eating those foods that you love. You also want to be careful with probiotics while you're dealing with SIBO because good probiotics also can feed it and make things worse. So there are certain kinds that you can take to help, but most strains will feed it. So if you want any more information or you are looking for a practitioner to work with, just go to my website and book a free assessment call.